Good evening and welcome to this session by FP&A Professionals Institute about kickstarting your career in FP&A. So over the next 60 minutes, we're going to cover a lot of ground about FP&A. So make sure that you get rid of all the distractions and completely focus on the tips, techniques, and strategies that we are going to share with you here today. So first of all, thank you for your trust. You've taken out your valuable 60 minutes to spend time with us here to learn something new. So thank you for your trust. And pat yourselves on the back for taking action. A statistic says that less than 3% of the people take active action to develop their careers. So you're already ahead of 97% of the people out there, and your keen interest in learning FP&A shows that you've already decided to be a few steps ahead of others who are not not present here, right? So pat yourselves on the back for taking that action. Let me adjust this mic a bit. Okay. Cool. So a quick poll. So how many of you have already been working in the space? And just type me in the chat box. How many of you have been working in the FP&A space? Just type me in the chat box. So have you seen a budget, a forecast, a management commentary? Have you been in the space where you got a chance to do a lot of business partnering? Have you been in that space? Okay. I just see one response so far. That's from Shoaib. Okay, wonderful. So great. So then our attempt here would be to cover all the basic groundwork about FP&A and see how you can transition into FP&A and what FP&A is all about. Okay. So what are we going to cover here today? So we'll first start by understanding what is FP&A, the basics of FP&A, where does FP&A fit into the CFO's office, and why is it so important today to learn FP&A? So we'll look at all those things. What are some of the key qualities that you need to develop for you to be successful at FP&A roles? We look at some of the key traits for successful FP&A professionals. How does a typical FP&A month look like? What happens in week 1, 2, 3, 4? We'll try and understand a typical FP&A calendar and also understand the set of activities that are involved in a day. And then finally, I'll share with you a quick career framework of how you can develop your FP&A career and start building it on top of your basic understanding. So that's the roadmap for today. Okay, so let's continue with today's session. So a little bit about me before we begin with. My name is Dhawal Parvatikar. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I've also completed in my general management program from IIM Ahmedabad. Over the last 16 years, I've served as a CFO in India and in the Middle East. I've worked with multiple industries like oil and gas, software, advertising and public relations, and also shared services of a global commodity trading company. I'm now the co-founder and lead faculty at FP&A Professionals Institute. I've mentored thousands and thousands of chartered accountants and finance professionals in my career. Over the last 5 years, I've been an active online instructor as well. And I've trained more than 5,000 professionals on various topics like FP&A, finance business partnering, data storytelling, CFO coaching, and much more. So that's a little bit about me. Over the last 12 to 18 months, I've had the privilege of not only hosting, but also building a strong CFO network of 200 plus CFOs. Somewhere I've been a panelist, I've been a moderator, I've been a solo speaker. So all that action has been happening in the last 18 months or so. And I had this privilege to speak to more than 200 CFOs and build relationship with them in the last 18 months or so. So a little bit about my partner, Asif. He's also a chartered accountant, 15 plus years experience, has worked with various renowned brands that you see on the screen. Is also an author, has written 2 best-selling books, The All About FP&A and From Accounting to FP&A. Unfortunately, he had some personal commitments today, so he could not be here with us today. But Asif is my co-founder and partner at FP&A Professionals Institute. He has also had the privilege of bringing some of the more well-known global finance leaders on his podcast, which is the All About FP&A podcast and the FP&A Mentors podcast. You can get all of that access on YouTube. You can go and check out his videos as well. He's been doing plenty of work in the recent times on putting a lot of interview-related videos on FP&A as well. So a little bit about FPI's journey so far. We started in 2018, where I published my first Udemy course, FP&A Foundations, which has done more than probably 2,500 students now. 22 is when Asif and I came together and we started working on our program called FP&A Masterclass. This FP&A Masterclass has already now done 18 cohorts and close to 500 people now. In 2023, we launched Masterclass, which is our 4 weeks program. This is the recorded version of it has been taken by more than 500 students. Then we got a lot of requests for allied courses in FP&A like financial modeling, Power BI. We've been launching all those courses, and the financial modeling for FP&A course has also done 10 cohorts now and done 200 plus students. Asif launched his second book in 24, that is From Accounting to FP&A. And we also launched our flagship 6-month program called Certified Global FP&A Professional Program, which is a 6-month exhaustive program about FP&A. It has now done 3 successful cohorts, and the 4th cohort is starting on the 12th of April. We'll share some details about it later in the session. But overall, under the FPI banner, we have been able to train more than 3,500 students across these various courses as well. So that's a little bit about our journey so far. So why bother learning FP&A? Why FP&A and why FP&A today? Okay. So I'll share with you 3 solid reasons of why learning FP&A is super important for finance professionals today. One, we did a survey among CFOs, and 79% of the CFOs say that it is generally difficult to find the right FP&A, which means that everybody is asking for experienced FP&A professionals, but there are not just enough experienced FP&A professionals out there. So any solid certification that you can get on FP&A today is going to attract attention on your resume, and you're likely to get a call. So we are at that situation today. The second reason is that on an average, FP&A roles command 15 to 30% more salary than regular finance and accounting roles. You take out any salary survey from any popular recruiting agencies like a Michael Page or a Korn Ferry or any of these popular recruitment agencies, and you can notice that FP&A manager salaries are on an average 15 to 30% more than the regular finance and accounting roles. And the third and the most important reason to learn FP&A today is that a recently published World Economic Forum report 2025 shows that accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll related or clerical jobs are in the top 10 fastest declining jobs on the planet. Okay, which means more and more time is available with finance professionals today to automate stuff, to do analytical work, to do decision-making related work. And that is what is largely FP&A all about, right? So you analyze, you decide, and you coach the business teams to kind of take prudent financial decisions. So that's where the world is moving from accounting, because accounting is getting automated to a great extent, and it's moving towards analytical and business partnering roles. So that is another reason why you should take FP&A seriously today. So these are the 3 strong reasons why FP&A has become important today, and why learning FP&A today or with urgency, I would recommend, is becoming so critical today. Now, how is FP&A going to be different? Right? What is it that FP&A is different? Is FP&A something new? Was it there before? Why is it getting so much of attention these days? Well, the core concepts of FP&A are not new. They have been existing in different shapes and sizes in the form of management accounting. But as organizations generate more data, and the tools and the technologies behind harnessing the power of this data keep improving, FP&A has gained a lot of prominence today, because finance teams are not only dealing with financial data, they're also dealing with a lot of operational data as well, which they can analyze and then coach the finance team to take better and prudent financial decisions. So if you look at a typical CFO's office, there are multiple roles reporting into the CFO's office, right? There is financial reporting, ERP, taxes, M&A, treasury. There could be a number of different kind of roles reporting to the CFO. And each of these roles have a specific activity to be undertaken. Like financial reporting takes care of publishing financial statements, getting your notes to accounts, getting your statutory audit done, internal audit, SOX audit, all of that is taken care of by the financial reporting team. The tax team is responsible for filing the tax returns, the direct taxes, the corporate taxes, the indirect taxes. All of that is being taken care of by the taxes team. And similarly, each of these roles have a certain set of activities to carry out. But amidst all this chaos, who is that person who's keeping an eye on the performance of the business? That is where FP&A comes into play, right? So the main role of FP&A is to make sure that you provide prudent, and timely reports and insights to the CFO and other senior decision makers in the company, so that they can take informed decisions. So that is where FP&A enjoys this unique position of sitting very close to the CFO. And even when I was working as a CFO in my previous role, about 70 to 80% of my time went into managing the performance of the business, rather than just compliance or taking care of the return filing or notes to accounts and all the statutory filings and all of that. The controller team is to take care of it. But large part of my time went into coaching, decision making, pricing, budgeting, forecasting, scenario planning, variance analysis, profitability analysis, pricing, margins. All of these things come under the ambit of FP&A. So that is where FP&A is going to be different, and it enjoys this unique CFO's office. So what is FP&A? Now that we understood the positioning of FP&A, so what does FP&A? To simply understand a little bit more about FP&A, I would like to deconstruct this phrase into 2 parts. One is financial planning, okay, and the other one is financial analysis. Now, financial planning is the future-looking part of FP&A, where we are talking about business plan, budgets, forecast, rolling forecast, traditional forecast, zero-based budgeting, incremental budgeting. All of these things are future-looking function of FP&A, which tell the business teams how much are we going to do in the next 6 months, how much are we going to do in the next quarter, how much are we going to do in the next one financial year. So that is a future-looking function of FP&A. Then comes the financial analysis part of it, which is all about analyzing the ongoing performance of the business. Here we are talking about activities like variance analysis, actual versus budget, actual versus forecast, current month versus previous month, current year, year to date versus last year, year to date, all of these different kind of comparisons, finding out the business reasons behind these variances, and producing management commentaries is all about financial analysis. Then comes the decision support. On a day-to-day basis, there could be a number of different financial decisions or strategic decisions taken in the company. All those strategic decisions would be incomplete without sound financial analysis. So that is where you end up providing a lot of support to various cross-functional team holders, cross-functional team members on supporting for certain financial decisions. So that is the analysis part of FP&A. So financial planning, future-looking function, and financial analysis, all about ongoing performance of the business. Now, what are some of the main activities involved in FP&A, right? Whenever we talk about FP&A, people think FP&A does budgeting and forecasting throughout the year, right? But that's not the case, right? So budgeting, forecasting is only one part of FP&A. Yeah. So the three core activities of FP&A are budgeting, forecasting, and under management commentaries, you end up doing variance analysis and different kind of profitability analysis. Okay. So budgeting, very straightforward. It's your annual business plan. How much are we going to do in the next financial year? What is my projected revenue, costs, my operating margins? That's all about budgeting exercise. This is carried out only once a year, just before the start of the financial year. It is approved by the board and then the budget gets uploaded in the system. Forecasting is all about tracking the ongoing performance of the business. For example, if I now have Jan to March actuals, then I need to now prepare my April to December forecast for the next 9 months. So we call it 3+9 forecast. 3 months of actuals, 9 months of forecast. If I'm preparing it in June, I would call it 6+6 forecast. 6 months of actuals, 6 months of forecast. That is what is forecasting. It's more about tracking the ongoing performance of the business. Then comes your management commentaries. At regular intervals, monthly, quarterly, weekly, fortnightly basis, you will be publishing a lot of reports for the decision makers to decide on a few things, right? And in order to prepare these management commentaries, you will end up undertaking these activities like variance analysis and profitability analysis. Now, variance analysis, actual versus budget, actual versus forecast, all these different kind of variances. Profitability analysis, depending on the structure and complexity of the business, you will be doing various kinds of profitability analysis. Regional level, branch level, SKU level, product level, right? Business unit level, depending on how your company is structured, you will do these profitability analysis to ensure that each subcomponent of the business is running in a profitable way. So that is what is profitability analysis all about. Okay. Now, what are some of the key traits for you to be successful at FP&A? Now, there could be dozens of different types of skill sets that are required for you to be successful at FP&A. But in this session, I'm going to just stress upon the four key habits or traits for you to be successful at FP&A. One is business acumen, right? You have to go beyond your Excel sheets, understand the industry, understand the business, who are your top competitors, who are your, what impact does the competitor pricing make on your products? All of this business understanding is expected of you. Okay, and I can tell you one instance. So once we were pitching for this client, Facebook, right? So Facebook is a prestigious client. And when I worked out the pricing for this, I noticed that we are slightly making lesser margin than the other clients that we are normally doing. Let's say on the normal clients, we are making 15 to 20% margin. On Facebook, we are only making about 5 to 7% margin. So I went back to the business head and said that, I think we should increase our pricing. This may not work out well for us. So he told me that, I really want to win this business. And remember that the moment Facebook is on our client roster, a prestigious brand like that will open doors with so many other tech clients, with so many other social media clients, with so many other large kind of companies, right? So this is business acumen. So thinking beyond your numbers, thinking beyond your Excel sheets is business acumen. So how you blend your business knowledge with your financial knowledge, that is all about business acumen. Then comes your analytical skills. Analytical skills is your ability to numbers and bring out insights from it. I'll give you an example. If I tell you that the marketing budget for this year is $5 million, in isolation, you are not able to conclude anything with this number, $5 million, right? But if I tell you that current year's marketing budget, which is $5 million, is 5% of sales, the last 3 years average is 3% of sales. Okay. Now you are equipped to question the marketing director saying that, hey, last 3 years average marketing spends have been 3% of sales. Why is it that we are doing 5% of sales? Are there any strategic investments that we are making? Why are you spending 2% more? What is the benefit? Is the benefit short term? Is it a timing difference? Is it a permanent difference? Or is it some branding that we are going to incur which will help us, which will give us future benefits? Now, all of this, understanding the correlation between different sets of numbers, is your analytical skills. Then comes your cross-functional relationships. In my career, I have worked with nearly every team possible, right? HR, business development, business unit leads, pricing teams, right? Tax teams. I've worked with so many different cross-functional team members. And the number one thing that gets the job done in FP&A is having strong relationships. Okay. And here you have to go beyond your desk, right? I used to always make sure that I mapped out my key stakeholders, and I used to spend a lot of time with them, over informal, coffee or a lunch break. Like for example, in one of the roles where I was working, as a finance lead, I used to deal with legal teams every day for getting the customer contract vetted, right? And in this process, the legal team used to take their own sweet time. Sometimes they used to sit on contracts for 4 days, 5 days. But I had a relationship with a legal team that my contract were cleared in 1 day or 2 days. Yeah, because I made sure that I invested in that relationship. Every time the legal team was sitting in a different building, and every time I heard that they are coming to this building, or if I come to know that the legal head or the contract team member is actually in this building, I used to offer them lunch, I used to offer them for coffee. Now, this is again a gesture that you will have to undertake and build these relationships, not only with legal teams, but every team possible in the company. IT and data literacy. Every company will use some or the other kind of a tech tool, say like a Power BI or a Tableau or any of these FP&A tools that are available in the market. You will have to try and build your familiarity with these tools. Is there like a one non-negotiable tool that you need to learn before getting into FP&A? There is none, right? Excel is something which is I think it's in your blood right now, right? So I don't need to stress on that. But having said that, once you notice that any particular tool is being extensively used in a company, let's say once you join a company, you notice that Power BI is being extensively used in this company, then it's your responsibility to put 30, 40, 50 hours on practicing Power BI and making sure that you make your life easier in that company, right? So that's your IT literacy. Then comes your data literacy. Your data literacy is understanding basic statistical concepts like mean, median, mode, averages, standard deviation, all of these things, because you are able to correlate different sets of numbers, and understanding these statistical terminologies help you analyze the patterns in the data and then bring out your set of insights to be presented in the management commentaries. Yeah? So that's your IT and data literacy. So these four skill sets: business acumen, analytical skills, cross-functional relationships, IT and data literacy, these are absolutely non-negotiable skill sets, right? So if you think you are lacking on any of these skill sets today, start working on them right away. These are skill sets. These come with a lot of practice. It will not just happen with, by reading one book or going through one video or a course. It's like a continuous journey, and you have to keep working on these skill sets on a continuous basis. Now, how does a typical FP&A month look like? Okay. Now, what does the FP&A team do? I mean, do they keep doing budgeting, forecasting throughout the year? Not really. How does a typical FP&A month look like? We'll quickly cover this. So when I talk about the typical FP&A month, is the month after the month in question. Like for example, today we are in April, first week of April, and I'm now talking about the March month close. So which means March has now ended, or the quarter has now ended, and now the first week, which is first week of April, what do we normally do? We publish something called as a flash report. A flash report is like a quick summary. The management doesn't have the patience to wait till we close our entire books and then publish our detailed management reporting pack. So they just want to know a quick summary level information as to whether we met our target, what are our key KPIs, have we met those numbers or not met those numbers. That's what the flash report does. Then you undergo your month close. Once the accounting team closes the month, then you review versus your budget, you review versus your contracts. And if there is any changes that you need to inform the accounting team, you need to do that. Then publish your month-end reporting packs. It could be as detailed as possible. So if your company is structured branch-wise, then you might include all the branch-wise profitability, the company-wide P&L, along with your commentaries, variance analysis, all of that is a month-end reporting pack. And some of the times, you may have to publish some special reports on a quarterly basis. Like for example, I used to send one report which is on training investments to HR head on a quarterly basis. Right? So after the quarter close, as to pull out all the training expenses, compile it in a report and send it to the HR head. So all those quarterly reports happen in week one. So that's how largely the week one looks like. Not an exhaustive list, but again, an indicative list of how week one after the month close looks like. Week two is all about your forecast updates or reviewing the business forecast with the business teams, right? We have closed the month. We now have to see how the next quarter, next 6 months, next 9 months look like. right? So you update your forecast, you get the data, you discuss it with the business teams, and then you update your forecast. And once you update your forecast, you get it reviewed at all levels. Typically, what happens is that as an FP&A manager, if you prepare your forecast, then you promote that pack to be reviewed by the FP&A head. And then FP&A head reviews it and then promotes the pack for the CFO to review it. And once the CFO approves it, that number gets finalized, and then it goes for board presentation or CEO presentation. And then once the board approves it, it gets uploaded in the forecast or in the system. Yeah. In month-end, quarter-end reviews, basically actuals, you want to now deep dive into the variances, what happened, why it happened, because the monthly reporting packs gives a high-level commentary. But if you want to dig into some variances, understand some root cause analysis, week 2 is your chance to work on that. Week 3 is slightly, I would say, lighter week for FP&A professionals. Here we start looking at the value-add stuff, like profitability analysis, working capital management, any special projects or automations that we might want to work on. Now, recharges and allocations is all about your common expenses. Sometimes some expenses could be incurred at the headquarter level or at the holding company level, which needs to be recharged out to the respective subsidiaries for you to do correct accounting, right? Because of your economies of scale, you may have, let's say, for example, a group medical insurance policy, yeah, of let's say a conglomerate which has 5,000 employees, right? Now, this must be negotiated at the holding company level, the ultimate holding company level. And this premium that you have paid, insurance premium that you have paid for these 5,000 employees need to be recharged out basis headcount or basis whatever metric suitable to all the different subsidiaries. Otherwise, the cost will end up remaining in the holding company. So that is all about recharges and allocations. Then week 4, again, your month close preparation activity starts. You could publish a revenue flash on the 25th or 26th of the month, just to give an indication to the management to see how the month-end revenue look like. You have 25 days of actual revenue. The next 5 days, you can take a reasonable estimate, add it, and then say, this is likely my monthly revenue, which is looking like. So that's your revenue flash estimate. Then you help the accounting team close the months, revenue close, AP close, accruals, JVs, GL postings, all of that happened during the week 4. And then finally, you support the accounting team to kind of close the books for the month forward, right? So then meeting your business partners, keeping a pulse check on the risks and opportunities, all of that is more like a continuous activity. You have to keep doing that on a weekly basis or on a regular interval basis. Now, for example, when I was working as a CFO, so we had 6 different departments in our company, and I used to make sure that I spend time at least with 2 to 3 different department heads every day, not just in formal meetings. It could be informal meetings, it could be coffee catch-ups, it could be lunch. I used to always make sure that I spend time with my business team so that helped me keep a pulse check on the business. What's happening in the business, what's working for us, what's not working for us, right? So that's what is about business partnering. So all these, this is our typical month in FP&A looks like. Not an exhaustive list, but just an indicative list of how it looks like. Sometimes if the company's accounting systems and processes are mature, you can close the books in day 1, day 2. One of the companies that I worked with, we used to close the books on day 1, and then day 2, I used to publish the forecast, right? That also was possible. In another company where I worked with, the process and systems were not strong. There we used to keep closing the books till 12th calendar day of the month. And then for me to publish the forecast is to take another 3-4 days. So I used to actually publish the forecast on the 15th or 16th day of the month, right? So that also is possible depending on the complexity and maturity of the FP&A team. You'll have to see these items may vary to each other. Now, basis your understanding about FP&A. So here is a quick class discussion, okay? And you type your responses in the chat box. You have just joined as a FP&A manager in a new company 2 days ago. Okay. What are your thoughts on how will you approach your job and what steps will you take to understand your role better? Now type your responses in the chat box. How will you take control of your role? You've just joined 2 days ago. How will you assess and take control of your FP&A role? So what will you do? 1 or 2 things will you do? Just type your responses in the chat box. Come on. Don't overthink this. Don't Google or chat GPT. Go by your instinct. Come on. Some responses in the chat box. Okay. Understand existing processes. We'll look at company structures, cost centers, profit centers, different reports, right? Profitability checks, margin checks. Okay. That's good input. What else? Review historical data and records. Observe the current staff or the current team. What are they planning? How are they doing it? Plan meeting with department heads for introduction. You need to know who are your key department heads or who are your key stakeholders in the company. Understanding the business model, how is the company making money? What are some of the key things that the business needs to focus on? Yeah, cool. So all your responses are right. Let me give you a very simple, asking questions Absolutely. Asking questions is the right way. Hello, Ganesh. Yes, very well. Thank you. So we'll speak about it. Then understand the process of manufacturing for better forecasting. Okay. Basically, you'll understand the business, understand the reports, who are the key stakeholders. All of you are thinking on the right lines. Let me give you a quick framework, which I would like to call as FP&A success mantra. And this is a simple 3-step framework. Okay. You need to understand 3 things when you join into a new FP&A role. One is your org structure and where you fit into the organization structure. Then that will also determine your stakeholders. Who are your stakeholders? Who will you be working with? And then your industry specific KPIs. Now let's spend 2 minutes on each of them to understand them a little bit better. In the organization structure, there are 4 likely possibilities. One, you could be in a regional FP&A role. For example, the country is divided into North, West, East, South. You could be FP&A manager North, or it could be on a regional basis. It could be a lead APAC. It could be FP&A manager, Middle East and North Africa, whatever the case might be. So here your stakeholders would be regional heads, regional business heads, and then you'll also be reporting to the corporate FP&A team or to the regional FP&A team or a regional headquarter, as the case might be, whatever suits best. Then it could be an SBU structure or a strategic business unit structure. When I was working with an oil and gas company, we had 8 strategic business units in the company, and I was handling FP&A for one of the business units for industrial fuels. So that could be one way. And here your stakeholders will be business unit heads, and then there'll be a corporate FP&A team that you will be dealing with, who you will be liaising with. Then comes your global shared services, right? Many times now the accounting and the finance processes are being outsourced to low-cost economies like India or Philippines and the likes of those. Here, what may happen is 2 scenarios. One is you could be a FP&A manager sitting in the US, and your team of analysts is sitting in India, who's doing the job for you. Or you could be a FP&A manager sitting in global shared services in let's say a Mumbai or a Bangalore or some part of India, and your business stakeholder, business counterpart who you're going to support is actually based in Europe or US or Africa or wherever, right? That's the global shared services model. And then comes your project or a client-based model, where you are responsible for a certain project or a cluster of projects or a certain client or a cluster of clients. For example, when I was working with a large advertising agency, Union Bank of Switzerland, UBS, was one of our biggest clients. And this client was so big that it had its own dedicated CFO who was taking care of only UBS, the revenue recognition, the budgeting, forecasting, profitability, project management, contracts, pricing, all of that was taken care of by the CFO and his team of 3-4 people who he had. Yeah, that client was so big, probably among the top 10 clients globally for us, right? So that's how your role could be. It could be just a client specific or a project specific role as well. Yeah. So these are the 4 likely structures. So don't assume that the moment you get into FP&A, you will start analyzing some fancy data and you'll be rubbing shoulders with the CEO and CFO. No, that might not happen, right? So you could be a very small part of any of these regional setup or SBU setup, where you may not even have the entire P&L visibility. You may be just looking at travel expenses. When I was working with a large commodity trading company, I had 2 analysts in my team who were taking care of just analysis of the travel costs. We were spending roughly $2 million on travel costs every month, right? So I had 2 analysts, not travel desk. I had 2 analysts just to analyze the travel cost, right? So that's how the teams could be. That is also FP&A. So it's not necessary that you get the full P&L visibility every time. Then step 2 is your stakeholders. You'll always be dealing with different cross-functional stakeholders like HR, legal, sales, business development, operations, production, supply chain, different kind of teams. You will always be collecting some inputs and updates from them. For example, with sales teams, you'll be collecting the estimated quantities or talking to them about the customer relationships and what would be the sales estimates, right? Yeah, Ganesh, I'll take the questions later. Or you will always be providing certain reports and insights to these team members to take certain decisions, right? So that is always the case in terms of working with different stakeholders. So understand who are your top 5 stakeholders and what influence do they have on your role, and then start building strong cross-functional relationships with them. Then comes your KPIs. Okay, KPIs are your key performance indicators. Every company tracks different set of KPIs. However, gross margin will be there in an oil and gas company also. Gross margin will be there in a software company also, right? But the only difference would be that the way they are being computed and the kind of different operational KPIs that they might be tracking, right? Let's do a quick discussion here. Okay, and I want your responses in the chat box. Okay, what do you think are the KPIs of an oil and gas refining company? Simple. They buy the crude oil, refine it, sell petrol, diesel, and a number of products that are coming out of it. What would be their KPIs? Top 1 or 2 KPIs. Just type your response in the chat box. Again, go by your instinct. Don't Google or ChatGPT this. Come on, fast responses. Conversion cost, I'm assuming the production cost of converting from crude oil to petrol, diesel, or finished products. Okay, that's a good point. What else? Wastages, that is your efficiency or your productivity, normal wastage, abnormal wastage, correct? Crude oil prices, how do the raw material prices impact? At 70-80% of the processing cost is actually your crude oil cost, right? Gross margins, gross refining margins, right? These are all the right set of KPIs. What about a software services company? Software services company which takes the contract, builds customized software for their clients, and then hands it over to them. Software company, okay, I'm assuming storage cost is for the oil and gas. Yeah. Service contracts, okay, service contracts is not a KPI. Annual recurring revenue, okay. If it's a subscription type of a business, then annual recurring revenue will be important. Again, I'm talking about software services company which builds custom software for their clients. Salary of employees, yes. Software services is going to be a people-based business. So what is your salary cost or salary cost as a percentage of sales? That's going to be important. One-time customers, recurring customers, okay. Subscribers, okay. For all of you who are mentioning about subscribers and recurring revenue, give me this one now. What happens in a SaaS-based company? SaaS is software as a service, your subscription-based models. What are some of the KPIs in a SaaS-based company? Come on, fast. Come on. Don't Google or ChatGPT this. If you're taking more than 10 seconds, then you're Googling it. Okay, cloud costs. Okay, I uttered the word subscribers, so you should tell me something about subscribers. Come on. Okay, gross margins, membership fee, number of active subscribers, downtime, crash time, cost of subscriptions. I'm assuming, let's say, cost of customer acquisition. All of these are good KPIs. Customer service cost. Okay, application downloads. Fine, fair enough. Now stop your responses. Come back on the screen. Pay your attention here. Right. Again, some of the KPIs could be not an exhaustive list, but some of the KPIs could be for oil and gas company, it is gross refining margin. Basically, your sales price minus your crude oil price. And then comes all the production costs. That's your sales minus your COGS will be your gross margin. Then gross margin, right? So these are again some of the KPIs that oil and gas company tracks. Software company, software services company. So people are the most important cost. Your compensation ratio or your salary ratio, typically 40 to 50% of your sales will actually be people cost because you'll be deploying a senior developer or a team leader or whatever, right? So to the client's place. The revenue per headcount, okay, every dollar that you invest in your people, you want to maximize. Compensation per headcount, average compensation per headcount will give you an idea of the seniority of the kind of teams that are being deployed, right? Then a SaaS-based business, annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, cost of customer acquisition, and cost of acquiring a new customer, all of that is part of the SaaS company. Churn rate, churn rate is your net new subscribers that are being added, right? All of that is the SaaS company metrics. Again, not an exhaustive list of KPIs, but some of the KPIs that you will need to be aware of. Now, three things I mentioned to you: stakeholders, right? Your orgs, where you fit into the organization structure, and your KPIs, right? Every industry that you go and work with, right? Or if you take up a role in an FP&A with a company, understand what are some of the key top 10 KPIs that these companies tracking, right? And then prepare for that for your interview as well. You should know what are these top 10 KPIs that the company is tracking. No, Ganesh. So KPIs need not necessarily be monetary. They can be operational KPIs also. Like, for example, subscribers, number of subscribers or subscriber growth is operational KPI. Okay. But the revenue that comes from that subscribers or the annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, that is actually a financial KPI, right? So it can be both financial and operational KPIs. So you'll have to study the KPIs for the company that you're working with or you're planning to give an FP&A interview, and then prepare your answers accordingly, because these questions might come. What are some of the KPIs that our company is tracking, right? So those questions might come. So three things: where do you fit into the organization structure, your KPIs, and your stakeholders. These three things, if you are able to get a grip on these three things in the first, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks of your FP&A role, then it should be straightforward for you to kind of take a control of that FP&A role. Now, what is the framework to build your FP&A career? Okay. All of us start with the basic stuff, right? All of us start with basics, with basic analysis, right? And then the complexity keeps increasing, the seniority keeps increasing, and then we reach a certain leadership position. Okay, Ganesh has a question. Can we experiment with new KPIs? Will the company accept experiments? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can experiment with new KPIs, whatever is the right KPI to track, right? Also, it's also important to kind of balance and make sure that you don't make your life difficult, right? So what are some of the core KPIs? You start with them first, and you can keep increasing the complexity as much as possible, right? For example, I might start with number of subscribers. Now you tell me number of male and female subscribers. In male subscribers, how many are coming from South India? In South India, male subscribers, tell me how many are coming from Karnataka. Now you can keep increasing the complexity, but I'm saying the First, you have to begin with simple KPIs. Then however deep you want to go in your analysis, you can keep increasing the complexity of those KPIs as well. So coming back to the framework to build your career, so everybody starts with, a basic kind of a role, like an analyst or a senior analyst or whatever your role could be. So here you require conceptual understanding. There is no substitute for conceptual understanding, right? You need to understand budgeting, forecasting, management commentaries, variance analysis, scenario planning, sensitivity analysis, data storytelling, business partnering, right? Pricing, gross margins, fixed cost, variable cost, price volume mix, margin mix. All of these things are your basic commercial conceptual understanding. There is no substitute for this. Analyzing financial statements, analyzing profit and loss account or concept, right? FP&A is more internal focused, internal operational focused, right? That is the difference between FPI and a financial analyst who is analyzing stuff from an investment standpoint. Yeah. Then on the foundation of your conceptual understanding, you need to build three pillars: your soft skills, your ability to communicate your insights to the cross-functional team members, your experience with a certain sector, experience with a certain industry, because that is how well you understand the industry will help you blend your industry understanding with help you blend your business knowledge with your financial understanding. And then comes your tools, your basic tools that I mentioned, your Power BI, your Tableau, or any of the FP&A planning tools if the company is using it, right? These are the three pillars. And on top of these pillars, you will solidify your career by continuously improving, understanding newer concepts like driver-based planning, risk budgeting, incremental budgeting, right? Activity-based budgeting. All of these things you will keep improving. Learn leadership skills. Learn to manage a team of analysts, a team of accountants, right? And then keep adapting yourself to the new changes in the business models, changes in the technology. And that's how you keep growing to the ranks of becoming a leader or a CFO someday. So on the foundation of your conceptual understanding, three pillars: soft skills, experience, tools. Top it up with your leadership skills and adaptability. So this is a quick FP&A career framework that I would like to share with you. Now that you have some understanding of what is FP&A, why is it so important, how it can help businesses to add value, okay? So you realize how amazing it would be to learn all the high-paying FP&A skills, work in the FP&A function actually, right? Analyze all these different kinds of data and support the business, right? It's going to be truly amazing. Now, what we have done is at FPI, we have spoken to dozens of CFOs, and what CFOs are looking for in finance professionals today are 5 core skills. One is your core FP&A concepts. I spoke to you about budgeting, forecasting, management reporting. All of these things are your core FP&A concepts. Then comes your financial modeling skills. Financial modeling specific to FP&A, right? Your scenario planning, your sensitivity analysis, your revenue modeling, cost modeling, all of these things are financial modeling skills. There is a whole world of financial modeling for investment purposes as well. Leverage buyouts, valuation, all of that is different. It is not financial modeling for FP&A. So what we are talking about is building financial models specific to FP&A. Then comes your data storytelling, right? How you communicate your business, how you communicate your insights to the business teams, what visualization do you use, what narrative do you use, what messaging do you use. All of that is data storytelling. Then comes your business partnering, right? Understanding your business acumen, your strategic acumen, then your ability to build cross-functional relationships. All of that is your business partnering skill sets. And then comes leveraging technology, leveraging the latest developments on AI and data analytics to make sure that you are being efficient in your finance roles as well. So all of these core 5 skill sets is what CFOs are looking for in their finance teams today. Okay. Now, what have we done about this? So what we have done is, Asif and I both together have 20 years of experience collectively. So what we've done is we have compressed our 20 years of experience into a solid program called the CGFPA program. Now, this is the Certified Global FP&A Professional Program. It's a global certification built by directly CFOs and FP&A leaders, right? It has 10 comprehensive modules, which we'll talk about it in a while. Everything is experiential sessions, right? So we don't spend time on what is budgeting or steps in budgeting. No, we recommend you read them. You go through the pre-reading materials. MBA style, we come to the classroom, discuss cases, situations, simulations, group discussions, right? All of these things are discussed through these sessions. You'll be part of a global FPI alumni community as well. You will get sessions, personalized coaching sessions with either Asif or me. Placement support, again, not a guarantee, but placement support in the sense that we review your resume, we review your LinkedIn, we help you crack certain opportunities or interview support, mock interviews. On an average, we keep sharing 3 to 4 jobs a week in our alumni community because I'm personally connected with 200 plus CFOs, and I always get requests for hiring FP&A team members for their teams. Monthly Q&A sessions where we also bring in expert speakers, tool providers, senior CFOs, FP&A leaders from different sectors so that you can understand what's going on practically in their world, in their sector, in their tool environment as well. And then all of these are through online recorded sessions, online live sessions and recorded sessions. You can access these recordings at any time at your convenience. They'll be available on our portal and you can access it at any time, right? So that's the CGFPA program. Now, what is covered in the CA program? With basic understanding of FP&A, then we deep dive into budgeting and forecasting case studies. We'll build an actual company budget end to end and then incorporate it in a budget presentation as well, which will be your capstone project that you need to submit. Then comes your AI for finance and FP&A module. We have recently added this module where we cover all the basic concepts on ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and how do you integrate them in your FP&A roles. That's what specifically we focus on. Management reporting, different types of management reports. What are some of the best qualities of the management report? How and what management report should you use at what point in time? Management reporting frameworks, performance management frameworks, all of those things are covered in the management reporting part. Then comes our financial modeling. Like I said, financial modeling specific to FP&A. Then comes your data analytics, right? You will be dealing with a lot of data, not only financial data, but also a lot of operational data as well. So you will be requiring certain tools to navigate this large chunks of data. So we cover the basics of Power BI, SQL, and Excel data analytics so that you are able to reach a position where you are able to prepare your first dashboard. We don't claim to make you an expert in SQL or Power BI, but at least the basics where you are able to navigate these large chunks of data that we are covering in the data analytics module. Then comes your financial analysis. Financial analysis is not just about ratio analysis. Okay, how do you analyze the company internally? Different kinds of profitability analysis, horizontal analysis, vertical analysis, all of that is covered in the financial analysis module. Then how do you build your story? How do you communicate your analysis to the business teams in the most effective way? That is storytelling and presentations. Strategy, right? Understanding different strategic frameworks, right? Because your business teams will be talking about strategy. If you don't understand these strategic frameworks and how FP&A team can contribute to these strategic decisions, right? You won't be able to be a true business partner and contribute in meetings, right? So that is where we cover the strategy module, where we cover all the popular strategic frameworks and also discuss how FP&A can contribute to these strategic frameworks. Then comes your business partnering, your business acumen, right? Your ability to collaborate with the business teams, right? You're building relationships, all of those things are covered in the business partnering module. So all in all, 10 solid modules, everything that you need to be successful at FP&A roles, 20 years of compressed experience in a fast track mode, right? Don't just think about this as a course. It's more like, as a CFO, if I have to hire an FP&A manager under me, how would I train this person in 6 months? Now, that's what is CGFPA program for you, okay? Now, what is the eligibility for the CGFPA program? Okay, you need to either have a bachelor's degree or a global equivalent in finance, accounting, or business, okay? Or alternatively, you may have any of the professional qualifications like CA, CPA, CMA, CIMA, ACC, or any of these equivalent qualifications. If you have these, you will need to then do two things. One is attend the live online sessions, which happen every Saturday for 2 hours for 6 months. Okay, at least 50% of the sessions you need to attend live, and also submit a capstone, which is like a budget presentation to a CFO that you will be doing. Submit that capstone project within the stipulated deadline. If you do these two things, you will be then eligible for the final exam. A final exam is a multiple choice questions, simple exam for 2 hours, 50 questions. And once you clear that multiple choice questions examination, you will be awarded the CGFPA certificate. Okay, and we also recently got accredited by CPD UK, so you can claim your CPD credits for any of your continuing education requirements in your courses as well. Okay, that's about the CGFPA program. Now, FP&A is in extreme demand, right? Lot of professionals out there, or a lot of CFOs out there are looking for the right FP&A professionals. So the ROI of a valuable course like this, I leave it to your imagination. But the course fee investment in this program is $1,495. $1,495. The course duration is for 6 months. Every Saturday, we meet live for 2 hours. And then after that, about 60 to 90 minutes of your own time investment is required to go through the pre-reading materials, to attempt the cases, to do the homework that we share with you. Okay. The classes are actually starting on the 12th of April. We had orientation already done on 22nd March 2025. Last few seats are remaining for this particular cohort. This is starting on 12th of April 2025. What is important for you is, probably the date is, I forgot to update the date, but what is important for you to go to the website, download the CGFPA brochure today, and submit your applications as soon as possible. Okay, because only last few seats are left. So submit your applications as soon as possible. Whether you decide to do CGFPA or no, that's a secondary thing. But at least submit your application so that the team can review your eligibility and then come back to you. Yeah. So make sure that you submit your applications. Again, there are tons and tons of participants who have taken the CGFPA program, have given us some great feedback. You can reach out to them. You can ask them questions. You can check with them how valuable the program has been for them. Plenty of them have been able to crack FP&A roles. A couple of them have been able to improve a lot of their internal reporting processes, FP&A reporting processes. So it's a valuable program for sure. So I leave the, you can check with any of our alumni as well, right? So happy to take any questions. Before we get into the questions, one last thing. So if you are not yet, or if you have not yet decided to work in FP&A, or if you're still at the borderline where you're saying, no, I don't know if FP&A is still for me or no, I would definitely encourage you to go through the FP&A Masterclass 4 weeks program. Both the live and recorded versions are available. Live starts in May. Recorded version is available immediately. It's available on our website. You can immediately go and start with it, right? This recorded option also comes with some bonuses. That is your Power Resume Blueprint as to how you can tailor your resume for FP&A roles. Interview prep secrets. What are some of the things that will be asked in the interview, and also how you can navigate those questions. And then also access to our monthly mastermind calls or guest sessions that we conduct once a month, right? So these are the intermediate or beginner to intermediate level. So if you have already decided, if you want to make a meaningful impact and learn a lot about FP&A, then join the CGFPA program, which is a 6-month exhaustive course. But you're still a beginner, not sure if FP&A is for you or no, then you can start with the masterclass. Okay. But one thing I would definitely tell you is, please start your learning FP&A, right? It is super, super important. Day in and day out, I talk to CFOs, I talk to senior finance leaders. People are looking for professionals who can analyze stuff, right? Professionals who can support decision making. And that can come only by learning core FP&A concepts. So make sure that you at least start your effort of learning FP&A as and when you get a chance. Cool. I hope you found today's session helpful. I've shared the CGFPA brochure link. I'm also sharing the masterclass link. Cool. All the very best for your finance careers. Keep learning, keep growing. See you in one of our programs. Thank you. Bye-bye.